Warbound was a comic that caught my eye scrolling through Facebook. I backed it around April and March, I believe. Warbound is an immortal anti-hero on a quest for revenge, or a delusional violent super vigilante. Villains fear him, heroes don't trust him. Now locked in a mental asylum for superpowers people, his only chance of freedom is a session with Dr. Kendra Jones. What truths will be revealed? What caught my eye initially about this series was the main character of Warbound. He has a very distinct look with his golden armor, gold and blue color scheme, and his dreadlocks, and a grizzled look with a chiseled physique, with his big ass sword originating in Africa. The premise of this is pretty much a revenge story. It's about a fierce warrior cursed with immortality by a tragic backstory. Throughout history, he tears shit up throughout Africa, killing anyone in wars who does evil. And I mean, that was kind of like a hook, line, and sinker for me as a premise. I mean, character design wise, he kind of reminds me of, I'll be honest with you, like a 90s Bishop from Uncanny X-Men. I get like a little bit of more of a grizzled Bishop vibe from him, except without the Jerry curls. And he kind of has a little bit of like a Kratos anger to him. You could tell by the art done by the artist. I'm sorry, I can't even pronounce the name properly. But the artist does a very wonderful job of drawing and illustrating this comic book. I just like the way that he looks. I know some artists have difficulty drawing people of color, drawing black people, and this artist had no problems with the African features of the face and, you know, the expressions, and it looks really, really impressive. This doesn't look like a indie comic per se. It looks like something you could definitely buy out of your local comic book shop right on the shelves. And, you know, I was very impressed with the art style and of, like, you know, an African warrior who tears shit up. I was very impressed with that premise, and I backed the book and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It definitely, the script is pretty straightforward. It gives you a good amount of backstory to the main character, but doesn't give all too much away from it. Doesn't give it all to you in the first issue. So there is a little bit of a mystery and intrigue as to what this guy did to be captured and studied in a mental asylum because he's immortal, you know, besides the fact that he's black and dangerous, right? So I'm wondering, what exactly did he do to be on other superheroes in this universe's radar and his quest for revenge. And it's a very interesting dynamic because here we have this big, a retro type character of the barbarian. We always see the barbarian character like Conan, like a Red Sonja or Hercules, whatever. But very rarely do you get to see that kind of a style from that freaking point of view. This character has moral codes. He does have codes. There are links that, you know, he does have standards. There are certain things he will not exactly do to harm others, with quotes like, "If it were children, I show mercy, but grown men who have acquired a taste for murder cannot be allowed to live and continue killing." And other quotes such as, "Evil is violence against Anderson, hurting and killing for power, enslaving your brethren for riches and a sense of superiority, achieving one's selfish goals while poisoning the world we all share." So there are certain links he will not go to exact his revenge, and it's definitely something that I'm intrigued by, and I like to see this series come to have a full run. Issue 2, I believe, already was on Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and I believe that issue 3 will be coming out later on this summer or hopefully early fall. So I'm behind on that, and I will definitely catch up with issue 2 and issue 3 and give you guys the verdict on the rest of this series. But so far, so good. This is a very impressive comic. I love the artwork. I like the story. I like the premise. And you got a badass African warrior tearing shit up through Africa and now America, and we're gonna get to see him, tear some more shit up. And this is kind of a classic revenge story told through a different lens. And I think it's good to have those kind of perspectives and to have that kind of a dynamic. I mean, I know the angry badass who wants revenge. Some people might seem like it's a played out trope, but it's a trope that works and it's timeless. I think there's so many different variations of that. There's a simplicity to that kind of storytelling that it can draw anyone in regardless of how many times you've read it. So this is one of those many cases where it's done in a different style and a different kind of theme where it seems still relatively fresh and interesting compared to the usual flair that's out there. And the action sequences are well done. It's pretty violent. Got arms and limbs being cut off, blood, some gore, some really good expressions on the faces. Things look pretty clear. Things look pretty clean. The coloring is really well done. And it's a visual treat. I have to say, it's definitely it's a bit of a visual treat in my opinion on this book, and I want to see more. I can't wait to see where the story goes, and I hope that we can get a full run, 5, 6, wherever the amount of issues that Marcel Dupree has in store can complete his story, and we can all sit back and enjoy it, because I do believe he's got something special here amongst the crowd of indie comics. And for anyone out there, I have to say big ups to Marcel Dupree for putting out this book, delivering on a cool concept, because I can't really say that I see too much of this particular style, especially the barbarian warrior type books, really being done outside of Conan and Red Sonja. So the fact that he attempted this with an African kind of backstory and an African flair, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty dope. So for anyone out there, hey, I totally could recommend buying issue number 1. This is going to be an 8 out of 10 for me, hands down. I would go cop this joint right now. For any of you listeners out there, this is definitely a book to put to your collection and to, come back for some nice classic revenge, story-driven plots and action.